Hello and welcome to the podcast from Stress to Success Blueprint. I'm your host, Lolita Godin, and we have a super special guest. Is Spencer, and he is also known as the Prince of Positivity. Who can say that they are Prince of anything, and especially positivity? So he shares his positive energy and speaks joy around the world. And this interview definitely will show you that. And if you ever met him in person, you will immediately feel his energy, how positive and uplifting he is. Because the first time I met him in person, I was like, oh my gosh, I could see him. So I hope you will enjoy this interview. And his mission is to ignite people's light as they can chase their passions, help others, and live their life to the max, right? Because a lot of times we not allow ourselves to do that. And Spencer is also the CEO of Jonesin for and has two podcasts called, two podcasts. I'm here one. He has already two. And his podcast that you totally should check it out is the Daily Energize and the Jonesing for Show. And he also holds events all over the world. And I've been seeing on his social media that he travels the world, teaches people about energy. What can be that's like my dream, okay? So his message is simple, very simple and but powerful, which is to take control of your energy and throughout events, programs, and community of energizers. That's how he calls the peeps, and I hope you will become one. He shows and models how you can master it. And now, if you see him in person or you see anywhere in his pictures or events, you immediately can tell that, he is just a love scholar. He loves color, but he also a trained pianist and choir director. I know this is all the music and arts and colors and vibrations. So he also has published 5 books. Yes, and multiple magazine articles and websites and all of that jazz. And he also have a book that just came out. And then we will be talking about that a little bit later in the show. So long introduction, but I'm super happy to have you here, Spencer. So welcome.
Oh my gosh, that was an amazing intro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here with you and everybody listening. Thank you to you and everyone. I'm deeply honored. A love scholar? I've never been called that before. That's kind of cool. I like that one. So thank you. I appreciate that.
So, someone who's listening in now, they're like, okay, this is a prince of positivity. So usually when you think about prince, those are usually royalties that come from generation to generation. And since you call yourself of positivity, then you're like always happy, joyful, naturally, and high vibration. So when you call yourself Prince of Positivity, were you just born into this amazing happy family and you were just born with a smile on your face and you're like da 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 da, I'm here?
Um, I mean, I don't know if my mom would agree with that, but maybe. I've always been more of an optimistic person throughout my life. I've always seen, no, I shouldn't say always, many times I've seen the positive side of things throughout my life. However, saying all that, I was not always a prince of positivity. That wasn't a name, a nickname given to me as a kid. I was. I let my emotions guide me a lot throughout my life. So I had the roller coaster of highs and lows, and I had a big ego for 30 plus years, right? Trying to prove myself to the world, trying to have the world see me and show that I'm worthy, that I'm enough, thinking that I had to prove myself for all those things. And it wasn't until I hit my rock bottom, which we could dive into at some point if you want, but when I hit my rock bottom, that's when I realized, okay, I was already doing personal growth, but it could take root in fertile soil. I could really learn to love me for me. And then instead of being ego man, which was a nickname my wife gave me before we met, and even after we met, was ego man because I had this huge ego. I started working on myself and really learned how to build a positive, abundant mindset. I already had the base of being an optimist, but I was able to grow and compound on that and really expand that into being this now a coach nicknamed me the Prince of Positivity, and it's a moniker that's stuck since. And now I love helping people, no matter if you're a pessimist or optimist. We can help you have a positive and abundant mindset. So that's what we love to do, and that's I wasn't always a Prince of Positivity. I wasn't born into it. I I went through the fire to get it, if that makes sense.
So why would not call yourself a king of positivity? Just a prince because
Yeah,
of
that's it.
ego?
That's a great question. Excuse me. The people have called me the king of energy, the king of positivity. I love alliterations, so much so it's like Prince of Positivity, just a fun alliteration. But I don't know. But I'm also learning and growing too with that, right? I don't have it. I haven't mastered to a degree with me, but I'm still learning and growing. There's still things I'm not sure of. So maybe I've been a moniker of a king. Not that kings can't always learn and grow. I hope they always do, but. I don't know. As a prince, I'm always learning and growing.
I love that because we always have enough space if we want to grow and reach out and heal and all of that.
Yeah.
So I already can tell for those who are listening in, they're thinking, oh my gosh, did he just mention that something happened? I want to know what happened. What happened? So when you say let's dive into that later, would you mind sharing it? What happened? What does that bottom look like for you?
Yeah. Everybody's rock bottom is different, right? So for me, what it looked like is okay, I'll try to trim this into a shorter story because I can go on for a long time about it. I like telling long stories, but okay, short story. So, probably when I was 13, actually not probably, it's when I was 13. I was homeschooled and I started doing this ballroom dance class because I thought it'd be fun. It was with a bunch of other homeschool families. But my brother and I were always outsiders within the homeschool group. We were never like seemed like we were welcomed in, at least that's how I perceived it. And so we were taking this ballroom dance class. People weren't talking with us a bunch, right? We were those outsiders. And then I saw a group of friends. Some of them were cousins and but they were friends and whatever. So they had their group. And I'm like, well, I want to be friends with them and all that. So I started, they weren't talking to me. It was a whole year, like a school year of these classes. And towards the end of that school year, is coming towards summer, I'm like, I really just want to be in the in group. I want to be there. And so I intentionally changed the way I dressed to be more dressing more like they did. I changed the way I walked to a degree, which is crazy to think. Changed the way I talked, just to try to fit in, like the words I was saying, the things I was doing, just to fit in with that group. And lo and behold, it worked. I got accepted into the group, and then I was in, and they were my friend group till I was 18, until I went off to college. And it was at that moment that started losing who I was and started to be the chameleon to fit into groups, trying to fill that void of feeling wanted, of feeling enough, feeling worthy, and that stemmed from a very guilt raised with a lot of guilt, like a guilt-ridden upbringing, right? That's how my parents raised me. No, nothing against them. I love them. I appreciate all they did for me. They did the best they could. They did raise me with a lot of guilt and shame, and so that's what I internalize as I'm not enough. I need to show the world I'm worthy. So I continue that. Like, no, I'll prove you wrong. I'll show you how to do this, and I'll do this, and look at me. Look at all the cool things I can do. I might not know how to do it, it wasn't confidence, it was straight up ego. Like, let me just figure it out. I'll show you this and I'll prove you all wrong. And trying to fill that void with all these different things, right? So I became a middle school, high school choir director, professionally trained pianist, all those things. And I love music, love playing, and I love helping people express themselves through music. It's one way of shining your light. And I love doing that. But I kept trying to find notoriety. So like we tried doing different things. I grew choir programs like three, fourfold of what they were. We donated tons of money to charities. We had these cool concerts, cool experiences. But while it was a cool experience for the kids and it was so amazing, there was an ulterior motive to it for me, which was to get noticed, right? To have people see me and fill that void, and nothing was doing it. Well, I kept doing other things since that wasn't filling it. I kept trying all these other different things to fill that void until I made some really stupid decisions in my life that hurt my family, hurt myself, hurt friends. I lost friends, lost people in my life. I lost jobs because of those stupid decisions I made. And for me, I hit my rock bottom because of that, right? So the way I like to think of it is I put myself up on these pedestals. My ego said, all right, come up here, right? Oh, you got this. And life would check me, would knock me out. But I'm like, I'm Spencer Jones. I got this, right? Let me show you. And so I just kept building up, building up, building up. And then the world kicked out that pedestal out from underneath me again. But this time I didn't recover. I didn't land on my feet. I hit the ground hard. It's like it felt like a bomb went off and everything uh, blew up in my life. Like I realized I didn't know who I was, like truly. From 13 years old, I built this facade, this fake image, this face of who I am, just try to please other people. I didn't know who I was. And like, do I like this TV show? Do I not? Do I like chocolate ice cream? Do I not? Like, to just the smallest things, I didn't know because I was putting on so many facades, so many shields, so many different faces that I lost who I was. And when I looked at who I was, when I saw that when I was at the rock bottom, I hated myself. I hated who I had become, and I did not love myself. Uh, I was suicidal. I was planning on committing suicide. I had the two different ways I was going to go. I promised my wife. Thank God she stayed with me. But I promised Katie I wasn't going to commit suicide, and didn't. But at that bottom, when I was at my rock bottom, felt cold, alone. Wasn't alone, but I felt alone, tired, not sure where to go. And for being the optimist that I am and was, I let a lot of world pour a lot of negativity into me throughout the years. I would let them do it. I wasn't in control of my energy and my energy sovereignty. And at that point, when I was at the rock bottom, I didn't know what the lesson was. I didn't. I had faith that there was something, that I'm going through this process for a reason. All I could think of is I'm going to learn something to help someone avoid this or get through this faster. But what am I learning? I have no freaking clue, right? It is no idea what I'm doing. So let's just go through this. Let's go through the steps, go through the process. Let's be aware and learn and grow. And from there, I learned and grew a lot. And I'm still learning and growing, and learn new tools and strategies. Saw a therapist who gave me more new tools and strategies, started working on myself. And I was already helping other people to a degree with their mindset, but now the work I was doing personally was surface level. Now it went deep, and I started really working on myself even more and really building that healthy, positive, abundant mindset. Learning how to deal with self-doubt, with fear, with ego, with confidence, with all of those different components to allow myself to shine bright. And then start realizing, oh my gosh, other people need like this help too, and the community aspect's huge. So let's create a community. So we created the Energizers and brought people together for this. Well, we're all at different points in our journeys. So like, yes, I could share my lessons with you, but that might not resonate with you because you're at a different point in your journey. So we created this online academy with trainings and courses from me and other experts from our community to pour into you. So like, sure, what I'm sharing right now might not hit, but what I shared 2 months ago or what this other person shared might resonate and support you on your journey. So now we can help you there, and then events to help you along different points of your journey as well, but events all around the world. And it's that was a longer story than I intended, but from hitting my rock bottom and being suicidal, I learned who I was. I learned I can that I love me for me. I've learned to embrace myself, and it's still a struggle. There's still times that I doubt things and wonder, but those leave pretty quickly, and I love who I am and what we're doing, and I really discovered what my purpose is, and I'm deeply honored and grateful that I know that and can love it.
Well, thank you for sharing this. I think that's a beautiful human experience, really, what you just said, how that unfolded. And I listened to and read a lot of books and follow the Dr. Gabor Mate, and he talks a lot about childhood experiences and the little things that causes wounds. And not by any means, and I'm not saying that what you experienced somehow did it, but what I realized that when I was going on my healing journey, that there's a lot of things, and naturally we do when we are children the way we taught, and every society they have their own culture rules, and every family they have their own things the way they're doing. They go from generation to generation, and just keeps going, and like it's like nobody's fault, is because everybody's doing the best they can.
Right.
And it's all about being accepted. When you think about it, we humans, we belong to a group. We need to have a group. But if you feel like you're different, or you're not seeing that you're doing a good job, or you accept it, then we're like, okay, what else can I do to do this acceptance? And I had a lot of childhood experiences the same because my dad was alcoholic and my mom has, on narcissistic side, which I know why that happened. And, I'm already forgave them and I understand where they came from because I know my grandparents and I'm from Lithuania. We have a lot of wounding and traumas that go from generations. But I also want to have clients who come to me and they burn out and they stressed out. It is because what they say running towards the horizon, which you probably just said, just doing your ego, is like you think that you need to prove yourself in order to be loved because whatever you love, whatever you are is not good enough. So, but what I love about the whole story that I think a lot of people can identify with this, maybe not amazing accomplishments that like being a choir director and making people's life change because you love the music and you're given that opportunity, but everybody have their own little things in life that they accomplish, maybe not because they even want to, but because they feel like they will be seen then when they accomplish this. What I like about your story, that is so extraordinary because you are very talented. That has to do with arts and music, so it's like the best combination, really. And I know you spoke kind of harsh about yourself. Or you look, oh, my ego and this and that. But if not your ego, if not your talent, you would not be bringing this amazing experiences to the kids that were there, right? You made a difference in people's lives, and I think, when I discovered that I have this trauma from my dad and whatever, because, I'm only child also, so there was like nowhere to run, is I have to keep everything contained in myself, and that caused a bunch of problems when I'm an adult. I realized, like, well, when you assign a different meaning to this, and now I understand, like, I went through this journey so I can help others. And what I love about your community is, every change starts with giving permission to be yourself, because not everybody have that permission when they're growing up but kids. um
Right.
and what I see on your social media, on your platform, on your community, on anywhere that you do, you give so much inspiration and pointing a finger and giving permission to be yourself. Authenticity is super important, so thank you for giving that for everyone who sees you, to remind them that it's okay to be yourself.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Being yourself is huge. All right. I mean, for me, being hidden for 30 years, right? Not knowing who I was and just getting farther and farther away from home in that sense, was it took me falling down and hitting my rock bottom to actually discover, to break all those things down and find who I was, for me. And I hope we can help other people avoid that by allowing them, giving that safe place to be themselves. And think about it. You might not have a safe place to be yourself. Maybe if you're totally alone, and but you might, if you have a spouse, a significant other, you still might feel like you have to put on a facade for them, like you need to be that supporter, that encourager, or whatever that role is you give yourself there. If you have kids, if your family, your work environment, whatever, we all have these different, and me as well, like we have these different roles that we play in these different parts of our life. And I get that. I'm not saying that we don't play those roles, but how can you play that role or be in that role and still be your true authentic self? Let your true light shine instead of compromising your values, your priorities, your light just to fit that mold, right? And even sometimes it's what you think. A lot of the time, it's what you think other people or society expects from you. So if you could just break free of that and just be you, then we could sift through and work through the other stuff. And most people, from what I've realized, don't have that safe place. They might think they do to a degree, but once they dig in, they realize that there's some layers to that. And with our Energizer family, we do our best to shed those layers. Because they're there at points, right? So we try to recognize them and shed them, and make sure it's a truly safe place, non-judgmental place where you get to be you and learn who you are and be okay with that, and have people who are understanding and okay. But it's a process for all of us. I'm going through it. Katie's going through it. You are. We all are. And it's a beautiful experience. Sometimes harder than others, but it's a beautiful thing.
When I started my uh journey, first, like I was so stressed out and burnout that influenced my physical body, and I just got sick. But
Hmm.
then when I realized, okay, I'm gonna do this stress management thing now, and I did the what they call stress management bandages. when you do yoga, meditation, journaling, all of those things that everybody's like, yeah. I was doing them and it helped me, but really healing came to me when I realized that the behavior that's caused me stress because I was stressing myself out. That's when I was not allowing myself to be me, meaning I am going against myself if I don't allow myself to be me. And then realizing that I grew up with the childhood wounds that were not even allowing me to be me because out of self-preservation. It's like I'm going to do whatever they expect me to do so I get fed and I have where to sleep. This is just
Right.
a survival mode. And then when I carry that into adulthood, I realize, uh, you know, the moment when I realized that, oh my gosh, this is happening because I have those wounds, the first thing that came to my mind was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally broken. Like, this is it for me. Like, life is over because I'm already coming damaged. I'm already coming damaged. And it was so disappointing. I felt super alone. But when I started looking for other people online and there were books written about, adult children alcoholics, which I wrote, books about that. I realized like, oh, like, wait, I'm not only one. And when I reach out to the communities, when I saw the people that actually went through the same thing, that is huge because I think being lonely in today's society is a very common pandemic. I think the real pandemic is being lonely because of that lack of authenticity, because we're even afraid to show this. And when I have clients and they say, okay, do something that you like to do once a day, like something, even 15 minutes, and they're like, oh, well, I don't know what I want to do. I'm like, okay, well, you can make a list. They have difficulties of coming up with what they like to do because there's so much of shame behind like, well, I want to just read a book, but if I'm going to read a book, then the people in my house will say that I'm lazy and I don't want to be lazy, then I'm going to be expelled from the group, hence I'm going to die. So I cannot even read the book, or they don't even know what it is because they've never been allowed to do themselves. So having a community, and for those who are listening in right now and you're thinking, yeah, I can relate, I have some wounding myself, and yes, I have this and this and that, but you think that you can battle this yourself, you don't have to. There are plenty of people around, like, reach out to Spencer's community and see that there's a what I also loved is that when you're in the community, you see the people, but you have opportunity to help other people with their own journey. And then this is how you become that group. This is where you feel accepted and seen and validated.
Right? You don't have to do this life, this journey of life alone, of this human experience. You can if you like, but as you said, we need human contact, right? Research has shown it over and over again. History has shown it that we need some kind of group and self-preservation. And you're right. I think one of the real pandemics was the isolation aspect of it, right? And so we feel isolated. Although technology brings us closer together, more people feel isolated and alone than ever before. Well, how can we change that? Well, let's have a community. Okay, it's virtual at the moment, but if we can get together, hence what the reason for the events, right? So if we can get together virtually and in person, we can feel connected. We have people who have met for the first time at our summit this year who have known each other for 3 years. They felt like it was funny seeing them meet in person, and myself too. I met them for the first time in person, some of them, and it's been crazy. It's like I know you like a brother and sister, like your family, but yet we've never met. And then when we finally meet in person, it's like it's hugs, and it's like we've known each other for all these years, and it's amazing when you have that. So no, you don't have to go at it alone. Whether it's our Energizer family, whether it's another group, it doesn't have to be with us. It'd be great if it is, but if it's not, cool. You find the group that works for you, that resonates with you, and truly allows you to be you, and check in. Like, do regular check-ins with yourself. Maybe it's every quarter or every 6 months or something. Check in and say, hey, does this group still resonate? Do I still feel like I could truly be myself here in this group? Because you're going to change, that group is going to change throughout life, and you just want to make sure it's still aligned. Um, and my group too, right? So if you join the Energize, it's not my group, it's our group, the Energizers. Like if you join the Energizers, still check and make sure it's aligned with you. And if it is, awesome. If it's not, awesome. Now you know, and you can work and find a group because there are groups out there for everyone if you're willing to look for them. But if you can't seem to find them anywhere, start your own, because then other people will see it and resonate with you, and you just know you don't have to do this thing alone.
So, for those who are listening in and they're thinking, well, okay, now I see they're more inspired. And what you said, join a community, and I'm definitely for that too. But what would be like the first few steps that they need to take themselves with their mindset? What kind of actions that someone really needs to do? Because I say any self-development is like buying a cookbook. Just because you bought a cookbook, it doesn't mean you have a dinner on the table. You still need to get your fingers dirty. So what would be like the first, few steps that somebody starts working towards that?
So yeah, great question. I love that analogy. So are you thinking of like this first steps to being their true authentic self? Okay. So just making sure we're clear on that. Okay. So some of the first steps to being your true authentic self. Embrace, as in be aware. Let's start there. Let's be aware of your feelings, of your emotions. What are you noticing and sensing in that moment? You're not judging them. You're not saying it, this is good, this is bad, this is what I should be feeling, that I should not be feeling. No, 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 no. Just, well, how am I feeling? Like, I feel safe here. I feel worried. I feel happy. I feel angry. Cool. Maybe you're labeling them. That's fine. Just notice them, and then if you choose, you can embrace those feelings. And it takes a little bit more time to choose to not embrace them sometimes, because we're so used to just them flooding us, and that's okay too. It's part of this human experience. But be aware of them, so you're starting to see them. Embrace the ones that you want to embrace as much as possible, and the ones that you don't, try not to embrace them or just move on from them. So that's probably the first step, is awareness, and second step is dealing with it. Then the next step for being yourself is, who are you? Can you define who you are right here and now? And if you can, great. If you can't, great. But if you can't, start to think of, well, who am I as this person? What do I like? And then as we start to do that, and even if you can identify who you are and you say, this is who I am, ask yourself, is this who I really am? Or is this because of something else? For me, I would say, before I would say I'm a teacher. Okay, but am I really a teacher? Yes, that's a role that I play, but is that who I am? Right? Do I like chocolate cake? Well, is that who I am, or is that because I feel like I need to from society, right? So you're just trying to see, like, was that impressed upon you from society or another person, or is that truly who you are? Now, saying that, this caveat to it, right? Like, I might have not liked chocolate cake beforehand, right? I didn't know about her or whatever, but I had friends who liked chocolate cake, and I started eating it. I started really enjoying it. So now I really enjoy chocolate cake, let's say. It didn't necessarily start off that way, but now I truly, authentically do. Okay, so I like chocolate cake, right? So it could come from outside sources at first, but if it becomes part of you and who you are, that's beautiful. Just you're becoming aware. Again, not judging it, not judging you, just starting to get clearer about who you are. And then the last step I'll share, and all these are big steps, right? So it takes time. It's not like you're going to do this all three steps right here and now in the 2 minutes and totally be changed. I mean, maybe you could, but most people like, just start being aware. Do that for the first week. Then the next week, start to look at, okay, who am I? Start thinking about it, questioning it, writing it down, just contemplating it, allowing thoughts to flow. And then the next week, take this part on. And that is, be aware of where you feel safe, where your energy is around you, and how can you just be you around you? Like, where are the places and who are the people that's pouring positive energy and love into you, and what feels like it's draining you? Because then you, again, you're gaining awareness. So basically, this whole 3 weeks here, if you're doing it one of these a week, you're becoming more and more aware, and you're starting to take a little bit of action, but more just awareness. This is where I feel safe. This energizes me. This doesn't. These are my emotions. These are not. This is who I am. This is I'm not. And then you can start taking action with those things in a way that serves you and fills your cup and allows you to shine your true light.
Those are great steps. It starts with a little bit and then making the time to do that. Because I hear a lot, those who come to me and they say, okay, I'm so stressed out right now. And I'm like, okay, can you just do this, start with this? And they're like, I don't have time for journaling. I don't have time for anything. So here's my next question for you. How do you manage your time? Because I know you're very involved in many, many things and you're giving yourself away for many, many people. How do you manage time so you are not stressed out, burnout?
Um, it is something I have struggled with in the past, just to be totally open, because I'm I'm a high energy person. I'm a go, go, go kind of person, and I thrive off that. But I also need to be careful to not burn out. And I have been very, very, very close to burnout before, a couple times. So I've learned from that to what I do now. So to answer your question, what do I do? I intentionally take time for me, right? So I do things that fill my cup every day to some degree or another. So that generally my morning starts off with I wake up, brush my teeth. I have a home gym, so I have some stuff to work out at home. So I go downstairs to work out, but before I do that, I journal, I write affirmations, gratitudes, and then I work out, I meditate, and then I get shower and get going on with my day. So I take some time there to fill my cup. I intentionally look for joys and positives throughout the day. And I'm not taking 5 minutes for it. I'm taking 30 seconds for it, right? And just embracing it and truly feeling that joy, that happiness. I take time to spend with my family and the evenings, especially because my wife is retired from teaching now as well, so she works with us. So we do things throughout the day, but a lot of evenings we just hang out. We watch movies or we go for a walk or just different things together. Um, so I take time for me intentionally throughout the day. Sometimes it's 30 seconds, sometimes it's an hour, but I take time for me. So that's one of the ways I do that. And I really try to, so that was part of it, but I also did some of those things when I was feeling burnt, it's starting to get burned out, right? Because I'm taking that time and it's like, oh my gosh, I have all this time. The other thing that I do is I really prioritize my time. Where's my energy going? What really matters? I make to-do lists, but then I have my like A list, the big important things, and the B list, the things I need to get done but aren't as important. What's my A list? What do I need to look at? Prioritize my time, my focus. Let me focus on that, and then I can move on from there and intentionally give myself breathers from it. So like, okay, I'm doing this work, and when I'm done, I'm going to celebrate being done, even if I just completed this article or completed this podcast, whatever it is. Give myself 5 minutes, 2 minutes sometimes, and just breathe, get a cup of coffee, shake it out, move my body, and then I come back. One thing that has really, really helped me is to have like an egg timer or tomato timer, people call them. I have one where it's I literally flip a clock. I have it over and behind the screen. But in any case, you can flip it over and it goes for 30 minutes or 25 minutes. And so it just has a timer. When it beeps, I just get up and move my body. It allows me to focus, get more stuff accomplished, and then I can switch focuses or come back to it. Um, those things have really helped me, but knowing what I need to focus on and prioritizing it is a huge help. So giving myself breaks, pouring my pouring into my own cup, doing things that truly fulfill me, and prioritizing my time. I guess the last bonus tip is almost everything I do, I try to do at least, is aligned. It's aligned with me, with my purpose, with my priorities. I said no to things that don't align. Or if they are aligned, but I don't have time for it, I say no to it. It's tricky. I don't always get it right, but those things has really helped.
There's so many things that you said that I totally agree with, and I recommend others to do the breaks and like the phone, just use the alarm or on your phone. You don't have to have any special equipment.
Yep.
But there is something that about the early risers, and there's so much said about, oh, you wake up earlier, then you meditate, you write the journal, you do all of those things. What, for example, that works for you. For me, none of that works at all because I'm a wolf type. Have you heard there is a test of what's your sleep animal chronotype? So
Oh,
there are four types of animals, so you can do a test, and a majority of people are bears. So that means you wake up in the morning, you energize, and you just immediately hit the ground running. I am this smaller group that is called wolf. And in the morning, I need to sleep in. My brain doesn't even start functioning 100% until noon. But then I'm a what's called night owl. So that's like the wolf type. And when I started with the weight, just getting in better shape and better diet like 2 years ago, I was talking with the coach, and she was like, "Yeah, okay, well, you need to wake up at 5 o'clock. You need to do this. You need to work out." And I was listening to that, and me as a stress management coach, that immediately made me so stressed out. I was like, I salute people who wake up and they can meditate. I just go back to sleep. I probably will be standing and meditating, will fall back up to sleep, because that's who I am. So when I talk about implementing new habits, number one thing we all, and I'm just kind of sharing with those who are listening, is when we started implementing those habits and new ones, and we're like, okay, I'm all passionate about this. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to be in a better state of mind. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do this. And like taking those action steps that I was saying, really cooking in the kitchen. I love that you mentioned the authenticity. It's like, is it really you? But also finding your own rhythm. And I say stress management should not be stressful. I had a client who I told her, I said, okay, what is one thing that you like to do and do it every day? And she said, oh, I love coloring books. That'd be very, relaxing and everything. I said, okay, great. And then later we have a check-in session after that. And I said, how is that coloring book going? And she said, I don't know. I'll just be honest with you, but God, it's kind of added more things for me to do, and I barely finish coloring that page so I can go to sleep. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is not the point. The point needs for you to take that time for yourself so you can do something that helps you with your burnout and stress. You should
Uh,
not be adding this another chore into your day that make you even more stressed out. So there are so many tips and tricks out there that somebody can pick and choose. But just because something works for one person, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You have to find your own little things. But what I like about this coming from mental space is just it's enough already. Start doing something that is for you, because you start building trust with yourself, especially if somebody's coming from a childhood that you need to go, you need to perform, otherwise you're not going to be loved. Having that trust with yourself of saying, I'm going to choose this little thing and I'm going to do it every day, and also have forgiveness and empathy, and telling yourself, like, you know what, I tried my best, tomorrow's another day, I will pick up. But stop pounding and this negative talking, and of like we're talking to ourselves like a angry parent, and the whole time we're thinking we're doing such a great job because I am on a journey of healing and I hate myself. It's like, we really need to stop with the negative talking and really paying attention. So I love that you mentioned of really starting with just observation, observing your feelings. Because even if somebody at the gym, and let's say they are thinking they're gonna get in better shape and life is bright, and they hate that because gym is not their jam, and the whole time they talking bad to themselves. I even say, if you go to even if you're doing yoga and you're just cursing inside yourself and thinking, God, I hate this, that's not the point. So
right.
thank you for pointing out those things that everyone needs to know.
Well, and I really appreciate you sharing, making it your own, right? And that's that night owl, that wolf. Like that's amazing. I'm totally that bear. I've always been that way where I don't like waking up early. I was a 3 a.m. riser when I was doing like my half Ironman training. Like, yeah, ridiculous. Don't. It wasn't for me. Let me say it that way. I'm not gonna say don't do it. It just wasn't for me. I wake up at 5 a.m. now. That works for me. Generally, I wake up at 5 a.m. But there's days that I listen to my body and I sleep in. Saying that, I'm much more of I became aware of when my rhythms and my cycles work throughout my life, my energy cycles, right? So for me, I'm energized in the morning. I have that clear, creative mind, usually from like 8 a.m. to, or like probably much when I wake up, but let's say 6 a.m. to like 11 to noon. After that, it fizzles out. For you, in the afternoon, evening, that's when it picks up. Like that's how Katie, my wife, is as well. She's like in the morning, she'd rather sleep in. Her mind takes a little bit to get going, and it gets going, but it's more late morning, afternoon for her, and sometimes into the evening. That's great. Do the things that work for you. Like yeah, you hear people say, wake up early, go start working out or doing these things. Try it. If it works for you, cool. I mean, give it a shot because you might surprise yourself and realize, oh, this isn't so bad, right? Give it a fair shake and realize, oh, this isn't it. Or like your client, this is adding more stress. Then that's not the right thing for you, or that's not the right time for you. Cool. Now adding in new things can be tricky, can cause a little bit more stress with the payoff and the later on. So you have to look and just be aware of that, but do things that align with you, right? Because someone tells you to go running, and you're like, screw this, I don't go running, it's horrible. Well, don't go running. Go find another way to move your body. What's the general stuff that they're trying to share with you, right? Meditate. Okay, find that peace and calm, that quiet time for you. And you know, I know there's many other benefits to meditation, but like, what is it that they're trying to portray to you that you think that you could benefit from? If meditation's on it, how else could you potentially get that, and where could you fit that in your day? But you don't know until you experiment and try and be flexible and really be who you are, right? Just so many gurus say they'll share like I share. This is what I do. That doesn't mean that's right for you. It might be, but it might not be, and that's okay too.
It's kind of like going to the restaurant and looking at the menu. It doesn't mean that you need to eat the same thing as your friend is eating, but you still can be with a full stomach and a mission accomplished, and there's plenty of things on the menu that you can choose from. Just have courage to choose from something.
Exactly. Exactly. Don't just, I mean, copy if you don't know what else to do, right? You're in a foreign country, you can't read the menu. Like we were in Romania, we're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to order. And thankfully our guide could share it with us. But otherwise, we're like, well, what do they get? Okay, I'm just going to copy that. And then you realize, oh, I don't like that. Well, then you can start experimenting and trying other things, right? And that's okay. Or, yeah, I like that idea, that
Yeah.
analogy.
And then not to be angry at yourself that you chose the wrong thing on the menu. You just say, hey, life is great. I just experienced something that I don't like, and now I know I don't like it. If I have not done it, I would not know it. So it's all about the perspective, how we look at things. There is something I want to, I was not really planning on that question, but there was something that I remembered when you mentioned we were talking about the sleep habits and productivity in general. And I remember when I will go long time ago when I used to go like to the office and everybody shows up at 8 and I will be like 8:10. Like I'm always late because I'm a wolf, right? Because I'm always snoozing button for 15 times. And I remember I will come to the office, and that was like when I was an insurance agent for 2 years, the back long, long time ago. And the owner will say, oh, sleepyhead is here, like, so every time I will go there, so I became like very resentful of going to place because I know they're already going to immediately like criticize me for that, and obviously I'm a child with the wound, so I took it very in, but then I'm going against my own grain because I need to wake up earlier. So it's like this, I put myself in the corner, which I think it can be totally solved if we understand that other people have a very different patterns, and it's okay, we have different ones. Like for example, the conflict that I had, and you mentioned that Katie likes sleeping in later. When I was married, my husband will wake up early in the morning even on the weekends, and he will shame me every weekend when I wake up at 8, for example, because I was till 2 o'clock in the morning, I was writing something. So when I wake up at 8, that's only 6 hours of sleep. And it was a lot of shaming. And so, well, my question, I know this is like a long prehistory about that, but for those who are listening in, and I got that with my clients too, they're like, okay, it's great. You give me all those tips, those habits that I need to do. But a lot of people don't live alone. They live with somebody else in the house. A lot of times it has to do with like the opposite, or they've been shamed, or they pointing fingers. So my question is, and you probably maybe already can think what I'm already asking, what advice you will give to people who they are afraid, or they already have seen so pushback from other people around them, that like, oh, I want to go work out, and then they start laughing, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're gonna go work out, like you're gonna go meditate, or what you doing now? And so then somebody who wants to be on this healing journey, they're holding themselves back because they want to be accepted by that other group of people, like
Mhm.
they want to do that, and so they hold themselves back, and they're afraid to do good things for themselves.
It's a great question. It can be very difficult when there's the opposing party to it, opposing person, or someone that just doesn't understand it, and mocks you or teases you or seemingly fights against it. Especially, I mean, anybody, right? That's hard to when that's there, but especially when it's your friends, your spouse, your significant other, your kids, it makes it trickier. Saying that for Katie and I don't know if I've shamed her in the past about it. I might have. I hope I didn't, but who knows? Now I'll tell you, I I do my best to understand and be like, hey, that's you. You do what's best for you. All right. You need to sleep in. Cool. Like I give understanding, grace. It's not how I operate, and that I understand that, but that's how she is. So cool. I can offer that. So hopefully you can offer grace and understanding to those other people, even if they don't understand or like what you're doing. And the other side of it to for you to keep doing is you need to do what's best for you to be at your best within regardless of what other people think or say of it, right? Now, in like a relationship or your family, you, you do have that other consideration of the other person. So how can you have conversations, have an open conversation about it, say, this is what I'd like to do. This is why I'd like to do this. So they understand you're not just throwing this crazy new thing at them and maybe and be clear, I'm not forcing you to do it. I'm not asking you to do it with me. Maybe you can ask them, invite them. Sometimes it's just nice to be invited. And if they say no, cool and be okay with them saying no to it, but still do the things you need to do to be at your best. They don't let them hold you back from being there. Now, you might have some compromises, some things that aren't maybe fully aligned to make that happen, but you're still taking that time for you. So have those conversations, be open, be understanding without judgment against them, as hard as that might be at times. And then uh, with them, I'm just thinking of like relationship, like not understanding if you wanting to take time to meditate or they're teasing you constantly about it. Sadly, I know there's Energizers who have experienced that they're trying to do things to better themselves and the other party doesn't understand. It could be that they don't understand because they're scared of it. They don't understand. They don't know. They also know that current version of you or the version before, and now you're trying to change, and they don't know what to do with that change. They're afraid of what the new person, there's change for them too that they're witnessing that we don't notice because we're in our own bodies and our own lives. So having that understanding, not criticizing them, but having those conversations, sharing it with them can help. But in the end, you need to do what's best for you and your light, your energy, and your family, etc. But don't. So many people say, "Well, I'm not going to do this because of my kids, right? I'm not going to make them uncomfortable." How can you help them if you're not good? So take that time for you. Uh, it is tricky, but do those things for you. You might need to compromise, adjust. It might not be exactly fully what you want it to be yet, but have those, first of all, have those conversations, be open, be respectful, be non-judgmental, and but be firm that you're still doing something for you, even though it might not be exactly what you initially might think. Hopefully you can get there.
Um, and I just can add this. If someone feels ashamed or holding some back because they're like, well, there's a guilt and all of this from self-development, from self-betterment or self-love in general, and immediately feels appalled by that name because, oh my gosh, it's so selfish. We need to remember that you cannot shine a light to the people or be for them if you are a broken bulb. So energy. And we close the cycle of the circle of talking about I'm having here Prince of Positivity, and you have an energized community. So those who are listening in, they need to reach out to your community, to you, and get that energy flowing. So the bulb is very bright and shiny, so they can help those people around them, the family, the friends, they show the example that somebody when they invest in themselves and again, it doesn't have to be like total change, life changing. Just doing something for yourself for 10, 15 minutes that already change your energy because for all those reasons that we already just spoke. So we could talk about this forever, but those who are inspired now and want to get their light bulb finally, turn on, how they can find you, how they can reach out, and how you can help them.
I appreciate thank you for asking. And I get the broken light bulb analogy, and I see where you're coming from with it, and I agree with it to a point, but I don't agree. And I'll share just for a quick moment. I understand that feeling of my light's broken or I'm broken, and I get that. I'm not opposed to people saying that language. I know some people are. For me, the way I look at it is your light bulb's not out. It's actually there and it's shining. You're just so disconnected from it because you have all these walls, this armor up to protect yourself that you actually aren't inside it, you're outside of it. And so you're not seeing your own light. That's why it feels like it's broken or it's not there. It's there and it's shining. We just need to deconstruct, dissolve those walls, the armor, so that you could see your light and then the world can see your light as well. Just a little different view of it. So how can you connect? Probably two of the best ways. One is if you are on Facebook, come join our free community called the Energy Hub. It's a free community. We do meditations, we have calls, we do master classes, different things all in that group. I'd love to have you. Lolita is in there as well, and she's led a couple of our master classes. So come join the Energy Hub. Otherwise, check out our website. We are Jonesin for, that's Jonesin FOR, like you're jonesing for chocolate, jonesing for positivity, right? You're craving it. So we are jonesin4.com. You can see all of our events. We have events all around the world. So come check us out, join us for one of them. We have virtual events if you can't make it in person, and you get to learn a little bit more about us and all the cool stuff that we have. And just know that you're not alone. You could reach out to me. Contact information's on the website or on Facebook. Yeah, reach out to me, message us, or connect with other Energizers. You're not alone, right? You have a beautiful, amazing light inside of you. Let it shine.
I love that you said that it's not broken. It's just a dimmer, right? Let's just pop the dimmer up.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Spencer. That was a blast.
Thank you for having me. This is so awesome. I'm so honored to be here. And just Lolita, you shine bright, and you are energizing others with your light, helping them shine bright. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And I hope that everybody here listening, watching, know that you are amazing. You are worthy. You are enough just the way you are. Go shine your beautiful light with the world.
Thank you.